It is said that hundreds of thousands of years ago, two unknown beings were locked in battle. As their colossal weapons clashed and sparks flew, those sparks forged the world of Mithragon. The fate of the two beings lost in time is still unknown. Are they still locked in battle? Has one defeated the other? Or maybe, are they both waiting, preparing for the other to make the next move, as Mithragon watches? The realm of Mithragon is still greatly undiscovered, with endless plains of wilderness, limitless dungeons, and crypts of civilizations long gone, and eager to be explored. Diverse settlements all over have become beacons of light in the dark unknown of Mithragon's untamed lands. My name is Kilne, and I am a risen lord, a being born of one of those great sparks that created Mithragon so long ago. If you can hear my voice, it is because I have finally been relieved of my post, and a new band of heroes has taken up the mantle of the risen lords. This is their story.
They're calling us heroes.
Are you worthy?
Not everybody sees us that way.
So, do we have a deal?
I don't understand.
The Laughing Phoenix Tale.
I have to ask, are you sure you want this, Hampton?
Bastion, you know as much as I do that their story needs sharing.
They won't be forgotten, not after what they did.
Do you know what I heard yesterday? I heard that Slaide stood 10 foot tall and that he could cleave a mountain in half. That Naxius could turn your own shadow on you, and that Gillian could control the sea. Those are not the memories of my friends. I want them to be remembered for the people they actually were.
And that's why you hired me.
They deserve more than that.
There are those who would rather they'd be forgotten, you know.
I know that.
When shall we start?
The tavern's ready when you are.
Well then. There's no time like the present. Alright then, you lot. The job's going ahead. You all know what you're doing?
I know, I'm ready to go. Oh, I can't believe this is finally happening.
Yeah, it really is, huh? Well, I guess I'm good to go.
Me? Always.
Great. Oh, and Elliot, relax.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm good.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, orcs and elves, may I have your attention, please? I'm sure many of you have heard tales of past, present, and maybe even future heroes before, but tonight, and maybe for many nights to come, you will be regaled with the tales of perhaps the most legendary heroes of our age. The Laughing Phoenix Company. They who tore the fallen lords from their thrones and slew them. Those who saved Korlak itself from civil war. The very ones who survived the slaughter of Pillarston, and who escaped from the sunken mountain unharmed. You know them all. Their names are etched into the tapestry of history itself. Saphrax Brightscales, Max von Wonder, Cody Graveltoes, Naxius Palestone, Kassantha Bluntwood, Slaide MacRagge, and finally, Gillian Kilne. Now, I'm sure you've heard the tales I've mentioned before. We all have, I'll bet. But those are just their stories. The truth in them warped and distorted so much that sometimes it's unrecognizable from what it should be. And that has to stop. Because they deserve
more than that. Some of you may not know, but our illustrious host here, Master Hampton Brundell, actually knew the Laughing Phoenix. But he not only knew them, he was their friend, and they his. And it is thanks to his commitment to their memory that we're here today. You see, it's not just me you shall be hearing these words from. When Hampton came to me for this job, I knew that I'd need some help. A story this big is too much for just one man, no matter how talented. It must be shared among the best, and it's the best that I've found. Nara, why don't you come and introduce yourself?
Good evening, my new friends. I'm Nara, and I'm only a humble bard from across the waters. Now, I am looking around and I can see that some of you are thinking that's a long way to travel just for a simple story. And it is, but it's not a simple story. I know. Stay a while. You'll see what I mean.
Holly, it's your turn.
Thanks, old man. And hello! I have a few names, being gnomish and all, but my friends call me Holly. About me, let's see. I went with my family in the theater for most of my life. We called ourselves Master Piedwood's Ambling Players. However, some debt collectors opened my ears to the call of the open road, and look where it landed me, half a world away from home and never happier. The point is, I've told a tale or two, so believe me, you're in for a good one. Oh, and if you have any jokes about my height, come find me after the show. I'd love to hear some new ones.
And last but certainly not least, we have Elliot.
Hi. My name's Elliot. I grew up in a really small town that, up until this point, I had never left. I used to play music mostly to my sister and, well, anyone that would listen, really. One day, not that long ago actually, Bastion found me. I guess he saw something in me that I don't, but he invited me out here, so I must have done something right. I really don't consider myself a professional. I mean, especially compared to these guys, but I'm gonna try my best, so hopefully I'm somewhat entertaining.
And then, of course, there's me. My name, as many of you know, is Bastion, and I lead this merry troop and will be guiding you all through this night's tale. But you didn't come here to hear about us. You're here to hear the story of the Laughing Phoenix Company. So, let's begin. Our tale begins 25 years ago in the land north of us, the land called the Freehold. And in that land, on the crossroads between the towns of Lyndhurst and Ashport, stood a tavern. It wasn't glamorous, a simple 2-story building with a small stable, nothing like the ones you'll see in Corlac's Gold District, but it stood proud. This was the Laughing Eagle Tavern, run by our very own Hampton there. I actually had the honor of visiting the Laughing Eagle before, well, you'll find out later in our tale. But what I will say is that it was a quaint little place. Only a handful of tables scattered in the main room, their chairs neatly tucked underneath. You see, neatness was a little thing our Hampton took incredibly seriously. The rest of the tavern is exactly how you'd expect. A long bar, with many different bottles, which I'm sure many of us are acquainted with, and a large fireplace where any stranger can warm themselves for a handful of copper. The only thing in the whole tavern that stood out was an immensely large badger head that hung on the wall above the fireplace. Now the origins of that is a story for another day. So the night in question was a rather quiet one for Hampton. His regulars had come and gone, the fire was burning low in the hearth, and outside, the rain and distant rumble of thunder serenaded the night. Little did Hampton know that this night was the night his life would change. The door to the tavern opened, and in stepped 2 contrasting figures. The first figure barely fit through the doorway, the top of his bald head brushing the top of the doorframe, and the large axe strapped to his back knocking against it. He wore a large cloak wrapped around his shoulders, and a tartan kilt that fell below his knees. A thick blonde beard adorned his face, and a thick scar rested on his brow. The second figure was barely visible until he came fully into the light, his dark clothing and gray skin blending into the darkness of the outside. His face was slim, his features sharp, and his ears pointed. He stepped into the tavern with an unnatural grace, his footsteps barely making a sound, his white eyes scanning every corner of the inn. These were the first of our heroes, Slaide MacRagge and Naxius Palestone.
Thank the gods for this place.
It's only a bit of rain, Nax.
Right, well, unlike you, Slaide, I hate the rain.
But you like water?
Not when it's falling from the sky, I don't.
Can I help you both?
Ah, hello there. My apologies, Master.
Hampton.
Master Hampton. Myself and my, brother here are on our way to Lyndhurst for the floating market. But with weather as it is, we were hoping we could stay the night.
Brother?
Yes, that's right. Can't you see the resemblance?
Hampton could not.
Well, we do have a few rooms available if you wanted them.
I could just use the fireplace.
Not this time, Slaide. I need a pillow.
But
a real pillow.
The door of the tavern opens again, and yet another large figure steps into the room. This figure wore a deep blue set of robes, and carried in his clawed hands a thick wooden shield, emblazoned with the crest of Bahamut. The figure pulled down its hood to reveal a reptilian face, with yellow eyes and sharp teeth. The scales covering his skin were a dull, gray, lifeless color, with barely a handful of blue scales scattered here and there across his features. This was Saphrax Brightscales.
My pardon. Is this establishment open?
It is. Are you needing a room as well?
No need. Just a bit of warmth by the fire. And a meal, if possible.
Oh, of course. Just give me a moment. Now, the two of you were needing rooms, correct? Or just the one room?
Rooms! Definitely rooms.
Hi!
Once again, the tavern's door opens to the elements, and this time it's not a towering figure that steps in. This figure stood at half the average height of a man, and visible below his tightly drawn brown cloak were a pair of hairy bare feet. After drying his feet on the carpet, the figure took off his cloak and revealed himself to be a middle-aged halfling, with a wide smile.
Hello there. Sorry to impose, but could I dry myself by the fire until the storm passes? I'm afraid this storm is a bit too much for someone like me.
Now, Hampton was used to having odd people come into his tavern. It was one of the consequences of having his abode right on the crossroads of a well-traveled path. However, he was not used to such a ragtag group of people gracing his home.
Certainly, Master...
Forgive me. My name is Cody. Cody Graveltoes.
Well, Master Graveltoes, feel free to throw a couple of logs on the hearth. I'll be with you shortly. Sorry, you were looking for rooms, Master...
Naxius Palestone.
Master Palestone. And your brother...
Slaide MacRagge, of the MacRagges.
Oh, pleasure to meet you. So, for 2 rooms, that will come to...
At that moment, the door opened once more, but this time it was slammed open with a crash, as a man in a long blue overcoat bolted in, as if the 9 hells were nipping at his heels. The man's hair was wild, as were his eyes, as he came to a stop and stared in fear out the door. At his hip was a heavily engraved cutlass with a matching dagger. He then slowly looked around himself at the selection of many different races inhabiting the tavern, several with their weapons now drawn in the surprise of his entrance. Quickly, Saphrax walked over from the fireplace and put himself between the drawn weapons of Naxius and Slaide and the figure.
No fight. Not here, not this night. You merely surprised our friends here with your entrance.
With Saphrax's calming words, Naxius and Slaide put away their weapons and turned back to Hampton at the bar.
Thanks, Dragonborn. Didn't mean to scare anyone. Not a fan of storms.
I am Saphrax, of the Brightscales family.
I'm sorry?
My name is Saphrax, of the Brightscales family, not Dragonborn.
Oh, right. Well, I'm Gillian. I'm just looking for a place to stay tonight. Do you run this place?
That would be me, sir. Just give me a moment.
So what brings you here, Sir Gillian?
It's just Gillian.
Well, what brings you here? Just Gillian?
Nothing in particular.
Are you sure?
Sorry to intrude, but I have to admit that you definitely didn't come in here for nothing in particular.
You know, I didn't expect strangers to be so prying.
Oh, I do apologize. It was not my intention. Please don't.
Nah, don't worry about it. You see, I wasn't planning on the weather changing this quick. I was hoping to be at Lyndhurst already.
And the running?
I'm not a fan of storms, in the slightest.
Nothing to be ashamed of. Nature shouldn't be trifled with. Come, warm yourself by the fire.
Could I join you?
Certainly. The more the merrier, little sir.
And once again the front door opens, but this time it opens with a cry.
Damn it, Hampton! Give me a hand with this oaf.
Coming through the door was a female dwarf with a large bow strapped to her back, and her auburn hair pulled into a pair of tight braids. It was a strange sight. Her clothes, to put it politely, were filthy. Wet mud caked her entire form, and weeds seemingly placed at random about her person. But it was what she was doing that was odd, not her appearance. She was dragging a large muddy body into the tavern, leaving a dirty trail behind it.
By the gods, what have you done now, Kassantha?
I haven't done anything. I found him outside in the dirt.
And did you roll in the ground with him?
I was hunting. This is my camouflage.
Hampton moved over from the bar and up to the body Kassantha had dragged in, the others in the tavern slowly joining him. On the floor in front of them, coated in the grime of the road and slick with the mud of the earth, was the body of a young half-elf, barely into his 20s, who, even with the filth, could be called handsome. His clothes, while ruined, were of high quality, and an embroidery of VW on the breast pocket of his jerkin. A pair of wooden rods were strapped to the young half-elf's forearms, and were possibly the only things on his possession that weren't caked in dirt. In fact, they were pristine.
Is he dead?
I bloody hope not.
Let me see. Relax. Iki. Ora. No. She lives. Merely sleeping.
And with those words, the half-elf on the floor awoke.
Ah! I stand corrected. He's awake.
Where am I?
You're in my tavern, young man. You are right.
Who are you all? And why in the name of Von Wonder am I covered in mud?
You were lying in it? Surprised you didn't drown in this weather.
This will not do. Not do at all. Will one of you help me up?
Yep.
Ah, my thanks, sir. Now, first things first.
And with a swift gesture, all the dirt and grime covering the young man disappeared without a trace, leaving his formerly ruined clothes pristine.
Now that's just showing off.
Now, I need a room for the night. Your best one, if possible.
You'll wait your turn first.
Excuse me, but you weren't in the process of being served.
Not being served? We're a bit distracted by your sorry-looking state.
Sorry-looking state?
I think we should all calm down.
Maybe we should keep out of this.
I'm on the little guy's side in this.
I have a name, you know.
Well, pardon me if I can't hear you from down there.
What are you implying?
That's your short.
And who in the nine hells are you?
Slaide MacRagge, of the MacRagges.
I am Max Trentilius von Wonder.
Look, I don't care who you are. Wait your damn turn!
Gentlemen, please, calm down.
Nah, Hampton, let him brawl it out.
I don't think that would be appropriate.
And I don't care what you think, Scaly.
Scaly?
I can tell by all your faces this is not how you imagined our hero's first meeting would take place. But we're not finished yet, as just at that moment, in the midst of turmoil in the tavern, the door burst open with a drunken yell bellowing through.
I did it!
Oh, by the gods, please, no.
Hampton, I did it. I told you I would. 14 years I've been trying, and I finally did it.
There's a big pause as our heroes stare at the figure who just entered. He was an aged human, probably in his early 50s, with a scraggly beard dripping from his chin. He wore a scuffed, rusty breastplate that had definitely seen better days, and the rest of his apparel was equally as mistreated. In one hand he held a mostly empty bottle, and in the other he brandished a small statuette in the form of an armored skeleton with its arms crossed.
Look at this beauty. Right at the bottom it was. Get out of my way!
Pushing Naxius and Max out the way, the man plants himself in front of Hampton and thrusts the statue towards him.
Here it is, right for the very bottom, just like I said it was.
What are you talking about, Dropsilon?
It's Sir Dropsilon, thank you. And you all owe me drinks. I have conquered the tomb.
Naxius, what is he yapping about?
Haven't a clue, Slaide. Frankly, I don't give a damn. I just want my room.
Please, I will sort that. Just give me a moment.
Hey! Don't talk to these peasants while I'm waiting for praise.
Peasants?
I am no pheasant. I am dragonborn.
He said peasant, not pheasant.
That's even worse.
Silence, all of you. I am a noble, and I deserve notice.
Can I hit him?
He's all your Slaide. I just want my bed.
So, stepping towards the drunken noble, Slaide cracked his knuckles and gave his arms a bit of a stretch, whilst the noble merely watched him approach, and Hampton putting a bit of space between them.
You, fetch me another drink, will you? Mine is empty.
No.
No? Well, sir, you do reek of the poor, no matter how tall you are. So, here, get yourself a bath.
Now, when it came to violence, Slaide was an artist. A very messy artist, but an artist nonetheless. A swift jab was all it took to send Drobzelon stumbling backwards, dropping his near-empty bottle and his hands flying to his now broken nose.
You monster! I'll have your heads, all of you! You'll be dead, you hear?
In a fit of rage and pain, Drobzelon threw the statuette at the group watching his tantrum, and as it struck the floor, it disappeared with a flash, taking Naxius, Slaide, Gillian, Cody, Saphrax, Max, and Kassantha with it, leaving not a trace.
By the gods!
Less than a second passed before there was another flash and the group reappeared, but not in the same condition they disappeared in. Most of the group had their weapons drawn, dried blood on their battered armor, and matching expressions of relief.
Oh, thank the gods.
That was interesting, to say the least.
You! What's happened? Where's it gone? What have you done with it? I needed that to prove my bravery.
Slaide, Saphrax, would you kindly get rid of him?
With pleasure.
What are you doing? Get your hands off me! Hey! Put me down, you fiends! I will not...
That's much better. Now, who wants a drink?
That's more like it.
Oh, yes.
Just a water.
Whatever you've got that's gonna put me on my ass.
I'll take enough rum for Cody and I.
Your finest wine.
Hold it. Hold it. What in the blazes just happened?
Trust me, Master Hampton. You wouldn't believe us if we told you.
No one knows exactly for sure what happened when the group disappeared, although many like to make up stories about them being greeted by the gods, fighting their ways back from the Nine Hells, or even traveling the far realms themselves. But as you can guess, all these stories are tripe. From what Hampton could gather from them, as none seemed to want to fully divulge what happened, they arrived in some sort of demiplane that was powered by the statue Sir Drobzelon had retrieved. Whilst there, they conquered a trial of both body and mind, and were able to put aside their arguments to focus on returning home. And even though their beginning had started so aggressively, the seeds of friendship between the group were planted. And there, my friends, is where we shall leave this tale for the night. I thank you all for listening. I hope you will return to us soon to hear more of the Laughing Phoenix Company's adventures, and how they became the legends they are today. We will be here, awaiting your return. Hurry back.
The Laughing Phoenix Tales was written, produced, and directed by Maximus. Editing was done by Max Bevan. Logo design by Lewis Hay. The world of Mithragan was originally created by Lewis Hay, Connor Wilson, and Maximus. A huge thank you goes out to the incredible voice actors involved in our tales. We wouldn't have gotten this far without them. If you want to be a part of this project, or simply want to let us know what you think, you can contact us either on our email, laughingphoenixpodcast@gmail.com, our Twitter, @LPT_podcast, or on our Facebook page, The Laughing Phoenix Tales. Thank you for listening, and remember, roll initiative.